Now, war-torn Yemen is located in a very dry and semi-arid region with the highest rate of exhaustion of water sources in the Middle East. To talk to us about this issue, experts say that can Saudi Arabia and the United States use the water crisis to bring Yemen to its knees? We talked to Dr. Abdulrahman Maamari, PhD to Postcolonial Literature in English Literature, Academician and Translator working at the University of Science and Technology. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Abdulrahman. Welcome to the program.
Alaikum salam rahmatullah. Thank you for having me with you. And very good morning with you.
Tell me, which university are you at? Based where?
University of Science and Technology, Yemen.
In Yemen. Okay. We are now really talking about the war of water. Saudi Arabia and the United States have partnered, and they're bringing the Yemenis literally to their knees as far as the water situation is concerned. How dire is it, and what is this conflict all about? I know it's the civilians and Houthis, and we also understand that the Houthis are being backed by Iran. Give us more insight into this problem.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. If we are talking about the water shortage in Yemen, this can go back to a few decades, actually. It's not just because of the war or recently. And there are so many elements or factors for this issue. Can go to the geographical issue, climate issue, and a few things. But of course, recently, because of this war and conflict in Yemen, the different phases of the humanitarian crisis becomes more severe for the people in Yemen, including, of course, the access to clean water, and of course, the food, outbreak of diseases, and all different types of crisis or human crisis in Yemen. As we all know that this war starts in 2014, which comes like 3 years after what people, they call it the Arab Spring, which is the uprising in 2011, which was against the long-lasting former President Ali Saleh, who has been ruling Yemen for about 33 years. And finally, he was forced to step down in 2012. Then after that, there was some agreement between the different types of political parties to some kind of compromise or deal between what we can call the ex-opposition and the ruling party to form a unity government, which lasted for like 2 years, from 2012 until 2014. These 2 years actually was the most stable period in the recent years. Unfortunately, in 2014, all this uprising, all these issues comes again when the countries faced the military coup by the Houthis, backed by Iran, against this the unity or the unity government at that time. And the president was forced to flee and to escape the country. Then after that, Saudi Arabia with other Arab nations, they interfere with what they call is the storm of the defenses. Defenses, yeah, something like that, in 2015. Then after that, the country was exposed to this, what we can call it, this proxy war between Iran and Saudi. They are fighting in Yemen. Each party, they back some parties in Yemen. The government backed by Saudi Arabia. The Houthis, who controlled the capital of Sana'a, backed by Iran. And instead of to be like a domestic or local issue between the Yemenis, so they can just settle down, or they can settle the issue, it becomes like regional issue. And this what makes the problem is
Okay.
more complicated.
All right. Dr. Abdulrahman,
Yeah.
let's just understand. We do know that Yemen is a very water scarce country. Hundreds of thousands of wells had to be drilled, but because of the war, the infrastructure has deteriorated badly. Would it be safe to say that Saudi Arabia is using that water scarcity situation to bring Yemen to its knees? What is Saudi Arabia wanting on the table? That's the one issue. The second issue that I'd like you to unpack, but very quickly because we are running out of time, is it an issue between Sunni and Shia Muslims, or does that not even feature?
Okay, thank you for the question. If I start with the second question about the Sunni Shia, actually, Yemen is, if you are looking at the demography of Yemen, it's the majority, they are Sunni with Shafi'i madhab or school of thought, which can constitute more than 80, maybe 85% of the population of Yemen. We have like 10%, 10 plus, which more in the north side of Yemen. They are Zaidi. They are not Shafi'i at that time. They are not Shia at that time. They call it, it's a bit different from the Shia in Iran. They call it Zaidi. But now, when the Houthis start to control Yemen, unfortunately, they start to spread their teachings in all over Yemen. And this was also what provoked the people in Yemen, all over the Yemen, in the region or the different provinces in Yemen. So this is about the sectarian or the ideological scene in Yemen at the moment, and this is also one of the risks or threats on Yemeni people. This is for the second question. For the first question, what has been happening in Yemen actually? Of course, the war, the bombing of the Saudi coalition, they bomb everything. They bomb wells, they bomb dams, routes, all these infrastructures were bombed by the airstrikes by the Saudis, and this is for sure affected the human life in Yemen. But also on the other hand, when the Houthis, when they control the Yemen, we can notice that they cannot manage the country properly, which means that there is no plan to improve the people or the human situation in Yemen. All what they are focusing on is just the economic side, which they change from the state economy to the group economy. So we saw in the recent years that the elite of these groups, they become richer and richer, while the Yemeni people, they become poorer and poorer, unfortunately.
All right.
The people, the Yemeni, the ordinary people, they are suffering in between these two sides who are fighting, and they don't care about the ordinary people life or daily life.
So I'm hearing that both the Sunni population, including the minority of the Houthis who are Zaidi followers or they are called Zaidis, an offshoot of a Shia religion, they're all suffering together. It's not just the Houthis who are suffering. Is there, my final question to you, Dr. Abdulrahman, I understand the Saudis are wanting to call a truce. They're wanting to get into some form of an agreement with the Yemenis. Is that a possibility? And what does that agreement look like? The conditions of the agreement?
Actually, now I think both parties, and especially maybe the government and the Saudis, they are looking for some kind of agreement or compromise to stop the war. We can see like since like 3 or 4 months, when also the ex-UN envoy to Yemen, Martin Griffiths, he was just recently appointed to some other position, and I think a new envoy, he was just appointed yesterday. But all the efforts by the UN envoy, by the international community, they failed. Especially the last attempt was in June, when there was an Omani delegation went from Oman to Sana'a to meet with the Houthi leaders. They sat with the number one leader there, they call it Abdul Malik al-Houthi, to negotiate the plan.
Okay, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave it there. We have run out of time, but we will try and keep an eye on the story. Thank you indeed for your time, and Assalamu alaikum to you.
Alaikum salam. Thank you for this time, for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
A strip of land with over 2 million people blockaded